your pickle.
What's the front time, bitch?
Hello and welcome to another episode of This Week in Geeks Prototype, our video game extravaganza show that's supposed to be fairly regular, but has become basically quarterly or whenever we have to do longer review discussions because time constraints are crazy. And yes, anyway, I'm not alone this time, but Birdman is not joining us. Unfortunately, he has a lot on his plate right now, but to catch up on everything that's sort of happened since, well, everything announcement-wise since we were here in the Summer Game Fest coverage, we are joined by Ken. How's it going, Ken?
Not too bad. I am dreading the next couple months.
Exactly. We were trying to record these over the course of the summer. We're like, let's do an episode here, maybe another one there. And for a while, there just didn't seem to be enough news coming out that wasn't like hellish, terrifying employment-related news or shutdowns or things. There wasn't a lot in the actual summer of gaming after June until like everything was crammed within a week's time. In fact, like same day in some cases. Like we were going to do a full Gamescom coverage, and then Gamescom kind of sucked. And then we
pushed it to Tokyo Game Show, and then Tokyo Game Show sucked.
Tokyo Game Show sucked worse than like anything. Like there was like nothing there. Like we have our notes here, and I didn't even send a link or pull up anything for Tokyo Game Show because nothing was announced.
The only thing that I can take out of Tokyo Game Show was all the Like a Dragon news. That was it.
Yeah, and that was like separate. They had their own showcase before. I think it was a day or two before the actual Tokyo Game Show started.
Yeah.
And like, I mean, that was cool. And then there was like hours and hours of streams, and they paid people to try to like live translate, which was problematic because they didn't have a script ahead of time to go on. And nobody showed anything new. All of the showcases were and live streams were very strange. They, like, at least to our audience, like you could see like the live chats and everybody going, "What the hell is this?" Everything was done. Obviously, it's Tokyo, so they're doing everything Tokyo style. But it was all done like their TV shows now, where like it's just a bunch of people that aren't even related to the creation of the games, just live reacting to watching their live reactions.
It's just it's weird. It's been very weird. Honestly, I think the Like a Dragon news was the only thing I took out of Tokyo Game Show, and then Tokyo Game Show itself was just like nothing. Even the level 5 stuff, which was the one thing that was going to be interesting, they didn't announce when. They just said 2023, which means nothing.
Which means nothing when we only have roughly 2 months left to release. And some of their stuff, at least we know that their things are supposed to be simultaneous worldwide releases.
Yeah,
they did confirm that
stuff. That stuff's going to get pushed.
Yeah,
if they don't have a date by now, they're pushing those.
And obviously, because it was Tokyo Game Show, most of the stuff had like Japanese dubs, but they did confirm that the English dubs are either recorded or recording at the same time. So it's like, okay, Deca Police, the only way that comes out is if Nintendo has a partner direct, because it wasn't shown at the direct that they showed, which I thought it was going to be, because they're saying holiday, like worldwide. I'm like, really? There's no marketing. And when are you going to release this? Like, you're publishing, like, I believe Nintendo is publishing them.
Yeah.
And they're like,
well, Nintendo's publishing it for Nintendo platforms. Everything else, I know they're coming out on on PlayStation as well.
Yeah, and I guess they're probably publishing it, or somebody else might have that.
Yeah,
Sometimes that's happened in the past, but like, what are they? I don't know. There's that.
When's it gonna release? Because like we're in October as of recording this.
And what was the other ones that they showcased? Like, well, we know that that Leighton was going to be like at least a year away.
Oh, Leighton's a year or two away at this point.
But they had
the soccer game.
Yeah, it sounds like that's actually getting a Western release now, which we were told for years.
We were questioning whether it would, but yeah,
because they initially said no, like years ago, and then it went into like development hell for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then was Megaton Musashi theirs as well?
I think that's
theirs.
what it was called.
Yeah, because that's theirs, because the other one that sounds similar is Platinum, and that, who knows what's happening there. But yeah, that one is supposed to be getting, like, they just showed it off. They showed a bunch of gameplay and then no date. I'm like,
yeah,
but
it's like
that's the game you've had in development the longest. Like, it was in development before
it has to be some stupid licensing bullshit.
Yeah, like I have a feeling it's just, like, they're trying to wrangle licenses for the West.
100%.
The game looks done. It looks like it's been done for a year or two.
Yeah, it's just the licensees are just being dipshits.
So beyond that, like, that's that was Tokyo. Oh, and I guess with Tokyo Game Show, we'll get into it like later. Like, Square basically skipped it and did their own stuff with they did stuff with streamers in the West, while every other Japanese company did stuff almost exclusively at TGS, and Square ended up getting the most press coverage. Them and then Sega with the was it RGG Studio showcase they did in the middle of the night that they had in English, or they had fully prepared
simul English.
Yeah, with interviews with certain people. So like, I guess we can mention there that they showed off Like a Dragon 8 Infinite Wealth, and they said that, was it Danny Trejo is going to be one of the main antagonists in there?
Yeah, so it's Danny Trejo and
Daniel Day Kim.
Daniel Day Kim as the two antagonists.
And I don't know, like, if they're voicing, like, obviously Danny Trejo's not voicing the Japanese counterpart. I'm wondering if he's not going to have a Japanese voice. They didn't say that or not. Like, are they going to subtitle him maybe over there and just have him speak English the whole time?
That'd be I wouldn't be surprised. Because
they in the live stream, like, the live stream was live for Western audiences, simulcast in English and in Japanese, and like, they mentioned he's the actor in Japanese. So like, why would they cast him as a voice actor and then not use him in the Japanese release? You know what I mean?
Right.
So that makes me think he's doing that. Daniel Day Kim might, because I mean, he speaks, I think, Korean.
Yes.
So I don't think they're going to have him like phonetically read lines in Japanese. I think he's probably only going to be speaking English as well. So maybe it would be odd to get their, like, the difference is Daniel Day Kim doesn't look like his character. So they're probably just going to have...
You can see a little bit in the face. Like, when they first showed that character, I was like, that face looks familiar. Who is that?
But
and when they showed it was him, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, it's different enough that they could just use a different, like, celebrity or idol or something over there.
A Japanese VA.
But I just get the feeling, like, Danny Trejo looks like, what if Danny Trejo was, like...
Was in Yakuza.
It was half Mexican, half Hawaiian. Like, he looks a little Polynesian in it, but like, I kind of get the feeling they're just going to keep him speaking English if he's supposed to be like a local islander.
Yeah.
So that could be fun. They showed off the bonkers like mini games. Like, there's a whole Pokemon game within.
Yeah, they expanded the Pokemon-like bits from from 7 over to 8 and made it a full Pokemon-like battle system.
Yeah, forgive me, is it like Sukomon or Sujamon, something like that?
Sujimon.
and you're basically finding all the weird, wacky individual characters. I think you have to battle them, then collect them,
Yeah.
and then you train them and have them fight in arena battles. And you're the Pokemon trainer sending them out, right? And you're fighting to be the very best.
Yeah.
Crazy Taxi is back in the form of basically
Crazy Uber Eats guy.
Yeah, where you're riding a bicycle and doing crazy flips in the air, and the faster and you get to your destination, the more tip you get. It's the same gameplay style. That mixed in with the new one was a dating mini game where you're making a dating profile, and then you're having to like take the best picture poses and like unique like responses to get on dates with people, and then all the other classic stuff returns, and then they're adding more arcade games that some of them haven't had ports to the home before, so it's actually outside of like MAME emulation the only way to play some of those arcade games like legally. So that's going to be interesting. The what else did they showcase?
Also in conjunction with Microsoft's TGS stuff, both Gaiden and 8 are going to be on Game Pass.
That's right. Oh, was it what? Wait, was 8 actually going to be on Game Pass? I don't know if they showed.
Yes,
that.
they did say that.
Okay, because it wasn't in the initial.
I'm pretty sure they said it was coming to Game Pass. I'm not 100%, but I'm like 98.
I was going to say I think it's everything but 8. It might be eventually on there because it wasn't on the title cards, and that's the one where they want to make the most money from. So,
that is true.
I don't know. Maybe it's very possible, but don't quote us on that because I know it wasn't in the initial trailers.
I mean, like we know at least Gaiden is coming.
Yes, for sure. And then as of I think this week, it was announced that Ishin is this month
is going to be coming by the end of this year. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have a feeling it might be something similar to that. But yeah, was it the man who changed his name or doesn't have a name? Man who erased his name.
The man who erased his name.
That's going to be a day one. Game Pass.
The Kiryu side story game that looks just as crazy.
Yeah. So there's that, and like there were I think a few random games shown at TGS, but that was it. Like that's basically it. Is that, and then we'll talk about Square after. Gamescom was before that. What did they show? I've got the little article here because I don't remember. Oh yeah, Little Nightmares 3 was announced. Biggest thing out of that was that it's not being developed or released by the same people. That was the only game showcased, I think, from Namco Bandai at any of these.
Yep.
Oh, and I guess they showed off some Tekken. But yeah, Little Nightmares 3. Black Myth Wukong gameplay trailer. Whoop-de-doo. That's not gonna, if you're not already into it, it's probably not gonna make you into it. Killing Floor 3 got announced. There's a certain sect of people that love Killing Floor.
Yep.
It's not necessarily for me, but like to me, it always looked like what if you mixed Doom with like Quake 3 Arena.
Yeah.
Age of Empires 4 Anniversary Edition. I think that got dropped, shadow dropped onto Game Pass right away.
Yeah.
Let's see here. We don't care
because they were working on porting it to the console, and then they just were like, surprise, it's out now.
Yeah, we're gonna skip over anything that's like updated information for games. We're trying to see what was new. And we
got some more Alan Wake 2 stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's where we saw the first official gameplay footage of Mortal Kombat 1.
Yeah.
And it's just as gory as you figured.
Yep.
Tekken 8 release date. Oh yeah. Tekken 8 was smart to move away from this year because the thought was that it was going to be like a September-October release, and they decided to move into the end of January, where they're giving Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter a good 6-month breathing room.
Yeah. I mean, Mortal Kombat is like the premier pleb fighting game.
And Street Fighter, people are already into it. Like they're generally going to get, if they're going to get 2 fighting games in a year, it's going to be those 2. They're
Right.
like Tekken is always the 3rd game. But
Tekken is also the most technical of
yeah,
them.
like Tekken amongst a lot of people is their premier game, but in terms of sales, it's always right around where like a Soul Calibur is, right? So,
Right.
like, it's a great game. It's just it's not gonna do Mortal Kombat. Like, it's not gonna do new generation Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter numbers. Like, if it was like Street Fighter 6, Super Edition, or Mortal Kombat, MK1 Complete Edition, yeah, you can release it there, but it's not gonna be able to compete when there's like a new generation of those games.
And here's hoping we get actual rollback and not bullshit rollback.
Well, apparently that's what they're the part of the push.
They're working on. They're working
Yeah.
on it. And from the betas, it's been better. They still need to tweak a lot.
And that
But
the next 4 months
here's
will
hoping.
give them like time to actually
benefit
tweak
of the
that.
doubt on that.
And the fact that like for Gamescom they flew was it Harada out, right? So
Yeah.
the fact that he was showing up, like he's making the rounds at all of like the international shows. He wouldn't be doing that if he wasn't confident that their net code is getting to where it needs to be.
Right.
What did they show? Gameplay trailer for Call of Duty looks cool. Like it looks like
Gameplay trailer in quotes.
in engine in engine trailer.
Yeah.
What was it? Oh yeah, the Nightingale. They finally showed a release date trailer for that. That's the PC game where you have like randomized portals. It's like Stargate meets Victorian era monster battles by a bunch of the veteran the vet developers that worked for BioWare back in the mid 2000s. They formed their own studio. So I had been wondering when that was coming out. That's one of 2 PC games I've actually been interested in. It's that, and the other one that we still haven't heard anything from was Arc Raiders by all the guys that left DICE.
Yeah.
Which looked pretty freaking cool, and it was supposed to be out, I think, this past summer, and there hasn't even been like a closed beta yet. So something's going on there. I don't have.
I mean, I think even like Hades also announced around Gamescom that we're not going to be releasing this year in early access,
which is smart. Like
we're going
release...
to do Q2. I think they're aiming for. I think they said Q2 next year.
Yeah, like so. What they'll do is they'll shadow drop they open or early access, probably at Summer Game Fest.
Yeah,
because like I'm somebody who's been on the fence about early access. Don't release your game in early access too early, or 1, it might be too broken and might turn people away, or 2, you might have people lose interest by the time the game finally comes out.
I mean, with Hades, with the fact that Hades was such a successful early access system and how they did that, I trust Supergiant to do it well with Hades too.
Yeah,
so
like I think for a game of that size and scale, a 3 to 6 month early access is all you need.
I think that's probably what they're aiming for this time, because with Hades 1, they planned for a year of early access, and that became 2 years.
Like if they have early access in June and then have the official launch in October,
or say
September,
say 1.0 launches the same night as the Game Awards or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, or even there, even if it was as late as that, it wouldn't hit. It wouldn't hit Black Friday, but that's not the kind of game that needs to.
No.
So yeah.
And I don't, and they're not going to plan a physical edition until after 1.0 anyway.
Like if they dropped it June 10th for the early access, and then December 10th they dropped the game.
Yeah.
Then they could totally do that. It's not going to be a case where like the only really like long early access that has worked out, I think, really ever we're talking
the longer
long,
it's Hades and Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, and Baldur's Gate, like you can see why they needed it, for the amount of depth and complexity they did there. but
Yeah.
like most games that release that early in early access look rough or just aren't enough. Like I played Baldur's Gate 3 the early access in what, like 2019, or was it 20?
Yep. It
They
was
sent
2019.
they sent me a code for that, and it was when I got it, it was actually before early access. I got the press copy, which was like 2 weeks before it went to early access, and the only thing you could do was wake up, make your way off of the like the ship, and you could make your way into the grove, and then that was it. It would end. So you could basically collect your party members, or the first 3 or 4 party members,
Right.
and that was it. And I was like, oh, this is actually pretty cool. You can approach things different ways. I didn't know it was going to be another 3 years, right?
Neither did the guys at Larian.
And speaking of, I should have my review out. I've spent more time going back in and out now that
Hopefully,
PAX
by the time this comes out, it's out.
yeah, well, because I had to wait because there were a lot of bugs that were rough when I was playing it, and I played it shortly before release, and then I played it shortly after release, but shortly before release on PS5. Very different experience than people were having on PC, and you can see forums on all the bugs because they unlike their ports of their previous games, when they've ported those, they've already been very mature code. Like they didn't have their Divinity games come to PlayStation 4 till like at least a year or two after the games were out. So, you know what I mean? Like, it's clear that they were developing these at the same time, and it might be harder for them to do that. But anyway, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink finally got a release date. I consider that a new information because that game's been in development hell for like 7 years.
Yeah.
Or is it longer?
Well,
I think it was even longer.
Crygames partnered with Platinum, and then Platinum left the project.
Platinum, like, as much as I like them on certain things, they completely shit the bed on the game, apparently. And when it went into redevelopment, the engine apparently switched a lot more to be similar to Tails.
Yeah.
Which apparently it wasn't, or that's what they wanted, but it's not the kind of thing that Platinum does. So it wasn't playing to their expertise. So that got announced for February 1st, which we're going to get into some of the release dates at the end and how crammed things are going to be. But that was pretty much everything there at Gamescom opening night. There wasn't a whole lot over Gamescom other than some indies that were shown anyway.
Another thing from Gamescom, Marvel Snap went 1.0 on PC.
That's right. I think that happened while the showcase was happening.
They launched it while the showcase was happening.
And while it's not really for me, I know it is immensely popular with people.
I mean, I still play it. I still play it weekly. So it's a dumb little game I can put on a second monitor and mess around with while I'm watching like anime or something.
Oh, obviously, exactly. And I'll give them one thing: they have one of the most stupidly interesting PR guys that always comes out and goofs it up.
Well, no, that's the lead developer. That's Ben.
I know. Oh, I know. But he instead of having a PR guy come out and just do PR speak, he comes out there and like hams it up, and I'm like, good.
Yeah, Ben was the reason why I got into Hearthstone, and when he left, Hearthstone went to shit.
So I mean, it looks like it's fun and not as horrible as some of the other games are.
The only thing I will say about Marvel Snap is the pricing in the store is egregious.
Yeah, so let's just keep that in mind.
I understand because that money goes into paying for the art, which is most of what Marvel Snap is just cool art.
Yeah. So then we had the 1-2 punch of a Nintendo Direct and a PlayStation State of Play on the same day.
Yes.
We'll do PlayStation first, just because there wasn't as much. Spider-Man 2 showed off. I don't need to see more of Spider-Man 2. I don't think anybody does. Everybody who wants to buy it and play it either is going to or is trying to save money to buy a PlayStation 5 if they don't already have one.
Right.
They showed that. Oh yeah, they showed off the DLC expansion for Resident Evil 4. What was it called? Separate
Which
Ways.
apparently is like a completely different experience compared to the original version.
Which is good for those people that like their spooky games.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and the VR mode was like announced or shown a little bit more.
Yeah.
Tales of Arise, there was a surprise there.
Yeah. It's getting a DLC
yeah, it's full
over a year
expansion.
after release.
Yeah, and we're not talking like just like, oh, here's some extra missions, like full 20-hour DLC expansion,
Yeah.
which was not part of their original plan. I think it's the first time that they've done that for a Tales game ever.
I
don't think they like
maybe
they've done,
Syria had something.
they've done like sequel games or games that are in the same universe. I don't think they've ever done a full-fledged like 20-hour expansion.
Yeah.
They
To be fair, Tales of Arise sold real well.
Yeah, well, like Zillia and Zillia 2, I think were originally supposed to be one game, and they split the game into two parts. So that doesn't count. And like Symphonia had a sequel, an official sequel. I don't think any of them had. I've played a whole bunch of them, and I don't think any of them had like a full-blown expansion like this. But yeah, I think didn't Arise sell more than any other game in the series? Like even more than
Yeah.
than
It sold gangbusters. Like
it sold more than
super good.
Vesperia. It was like more than Vesperia and Symphonia combined, which is the two highest selling previous titles.
Yeah.
So I mean that'll be cool, and that's November 9th is kind of a rough time, but there isn't a lot of other JRPGs coming out at that moment. But it's going to service the people that already want to play it. It's not going to pull new people in. Although it might pull some new people in if they do a bundle where you get the DLC, you know, like in a complete edition or something.
Yeah, they'll probably do that for the holidays.
Helldivers 2 shown off. I didn't even know Helldivers 1 existed. Like, am I the only one that has never heard of that franchise and like everybody seems to make a big deal out of the sequel?
I mean, it's just been a dormant franchise for a while.
Like I've never heard of it at all until this.
I know it mostly in the PC sphere.
Oh, so because like Arrowhead,
it's like the one big Sony published game for PC.
Like I didn't know. Like, is Arrowhead even a Sony studio? No,
Yes.
they're not.
Oh no, they aren't.
Let me see here. No, they're independent.
No, all right.
That might be why, because they never showed up under my. Well, don't expect it. If this game sells well, don't expect them to be separate for long.
Oh no, they'll be acquired pretty quickly.
So they made Magica, the Showdown Effect.
Right, they did Magica. That that
Gauntlet
makes sense.
for Warner Brothers Interactive, and then Helldivers for Sony. So this is one of those cases where this might be like Housemarque,
Yeah,
where if the game sells well enough, expect an acquisition.
yep.
So this might be the only non-Sony studio owned games that is an exclusive. That like, and we're not talking like Final Fantasy where they have a timed exclusive. Like this is a Sony owned game.
Yeah.
Avatar showed off some stuff. Baby Steps, really poor choice opening the showcase with that. For
Yeah,
the general
it's not the
audiences.
best to open it up with that, but to be fair, Baby Steps looks like just the wackiest experience.
If you don't have the audio on or you had it down low, it looks horrendous. What's going to make or break this game is the main character muttering to himself with dynamic dialogue as you walk around. Where he's like walking, he's like, oh fuck, oh.
I mean, like you have the creator of QWOP with the creator of getting over it.
Yeah, and I mean,
So you know it's just gonna be a game about being frustrated the whole fucking time you're playing it.
like it's a streamer game. It's not a game you play for yourself.
Yeah.
Like you should. I'm gonna go on the fence and say you shouldn't play this game unless you're streaming it or recording your own reactions.
Yeah.
They showed off some PlayStation 5 DualSense colors. Whoop-de-dee-doo, expensive. Foam Stars open beta. Whoop-de-dee-doo, that's going to be a pretty big failure for the company.
Honkai Star Rail is finally coming to PlayStation in October.
Yay, turn-based Chinese gacha game. If it wasn't a gacha game, I'd be okay with it.
Yeah.
And then after that, like, everybody watched the event just because they had a feeling and knew that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth would be shown. And then they showed, what was it? I think, was that 3 or 6 minutes of gameplay, something like that. And yeah, it looks freaking cool. And then after that, after they showcased that trailer, they had revealed that a bunch of higher level influencers and streamers had been given access to a couple of demos. And so their TGS coverage was non-existent at first. It was basically everybody in the West that has copies, record all your own footage. The fact that they let them record anything they wanted, reveal anything within the demos, talk about anything, show anything.
Yep.
Tells you how confident they are, not just in the game's quality, but that they're not afraid that people are gonna like crap on aspects because they're that confident. It's very rare that ever happens. And then they did a Square live stream where they showcased basically for the Japanese audience everything that the Western streamers had done. Wasn't anything new beyond that.
I think Square is focusing a little bit more on the West because their games aren't selling as well in Japan.
And like this one will sell.
Oh yeah, no, it will. Because it's Final Fantasy VII.
But I kind of get the feeling that this one might double the sales of 7, because 7 had a big word of mouth campaign during the pandemic, during lockdowns. It was
and then also it was leaked or announced or whatever that the exclusivity for this is shorter
before it hits PC. There is talk that it's still a console exclusive permanently. And that like there's been talk coming out that the 3 games are like they're going to be PlayStation. Sony has put money into it directly, not just like paying for exclusivity. They've paid for some of the development. So you don't expect to see the Final Fantasy VII trilogy on Xbox for quite some time. If who knows if even ever in that format. You might get complete editions or bundles of things, you know, but yeah, expect it to hit. I would suspect it's coming out at the end of February. That was the big announcement there too. Is it's like, hey, coming on, you know, February 29th, the leap year day. That means that sometime in the summertime you'll probably see the PC version. And that was pretty much it for the state of play. It was almost entirely focused on Final Fantasy, as it makes sense, and then a little bit of Spider-Man because Spider-Man is their big game for the fall. But earlier in that day, we had the Nintendo Direct, and that was probably. I mean, we say that every once in a while. It's like, oh, this is the biggest Direct in a while. This is probably the last big Direct of this console.
Yep.
Like they've announced actually recently, as of I think a day or two ago, that at least like over in Japan they had interviews where they're planning on supporting the Switch until
2026
end of fiscal year. I think they said with first party software, end of fiscal or beginning of fiscal year 2025. So that would be, I guess, March of 2025.
March 2026.
Is that what they said?
Well, because the way Japanese fiscal years go into March of the next year.
Oh, right.
So So March 2026.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Fiscal year 24/25. Still working on Switch games for the beginning of 2025. Yeah. Now a lot of those are probably going to be cross-platform or ports of some small things. But yeah, so expect, as far as announcements for big, or like we're not seeing very many big budget games. In fact, we haven't seen any big budget games, even the stuff we're looking at here.
Right.
I suspect we won't see any big budget games anymore for Switch. You'll get in next year maybe one or two medium budget titles, and then a few more ports. So that's probably going to be it. And then you'll see, I don't know, like Just Dance come out until like 2035 or something, until they shut the stores down, right? Like we had, what was it, Just Dance on the Switch until 2019 or 2020.
Yeah.
Or sorry, on the Wii.
On the Wii, yeah.
Yeah, it was like 15 years or something they had almost.
Hey, those old people had to get it somehow.
Old people and grandkids. But yeah, so for the Nintendo Direct, everything that was announced, we're going to skip anything that maybe was not new, but and it doesn't matter if we sort of go in the order, it doesn't matter. I think the big takeaways that everybody's already heard about were like Paper Mario was like the final thing, Thousand Year Door.
Yeah. This is the game that everyone was like, there's no way Nintendo is ever going to do this.
Yeah, they're like, why isn't this part of the, their online thing? Because Nintendo doesn't have. Okay, if they can make money, they'll make money. But
yeah, but also like this is the game that caused Mario to stop being, like, the Mario RPG games to stop having original content.
Yeah. Like, this is the game that people are like, could it be part of like an expansion for GameCube games on their Nintendo Online? The reason is no. You only get 32 or 64 gigs of storage on your console. And if they started adding GameCube games there, that's anywhere from 1.8 to 4 gigs per game.
Right. And
like, do you have any, like, it's bad enough trying to download, like, if you get a digital copy of like Xenoblade Chronicles 3, that's 16 gigs to download. You know how long that takes on the Switch with their, like, if you're plugged in through Ethernet adapter, it's 100 meg max. You download it like 4 megabytes per second. If you go and are like right next to your router and you go wireless and you'll say you plug in to keep power going, it still takes like 2 hours to install like these games on there because they're just, the hardware is slow as shit. Like, it's not good. It doesn't make sense. What does make sense for them is to remaster it, put it out in 1080p, have maybe slightly better graphical engine, whatever you're emulating, put extra stuff in.
But like, they're remaking the entire game. Like, this is clearly from the ground up. With
at first people thought it looked like the same game with some graphical enhancements, but looking at side by side stuff, it's not just emulated; it's different art.
Yeah, it's completely new art.
And that way they can justify putting it on a cart, and then you don't have to download it. And then instead of being 1.8 gigs or whatever, the game's probably going to be 4 gigs or 5 gigs, whatever. Still,
I mean, it's a Nintendo game. Nintendo is like the masters of compression.
Yeah, so like, even if you download, it's not going to be crazy. But like, again, it's not something that you would like. The only way you would ever get GameCube games on Nintendo like Switch Online is if they started charging $20 a month like everybody else.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you're spending $20 to $40, or was it like the $60 or something for the
it's like 50 and some change for the expansion.
Yeah, like, you're never
for a year.
Yeah, you're never going to get that. Like that's 2 months of Game Pass Ultimate plus taxes, or the new PS Plus, right? Like the PS Plus Premier, like their top tier, costs 2.5 times that.
Yeah.
And and that's how you get all like like more modern games and crap on there. Like, yeah, there's way more on there than what Nintendo offers. Like Nintendo, like they, yeah, people need to get their heads out of their asses and understand how things actually work. So that's cool. I've never played the original. Like, I know my brother owned it; he loved it, and so I'm gonna.
It's one of the greatest RPGs for it's like it's Thousand Year Door and Mario RPG. That those two are like
Yeah,
the premier Mario RPG games.
I only ever played a bit of Paper Mario 64 back
Yeah.
in the day, and that was and I played a little bit of the one on the Wii where you could like turn sideways or
I will yeah, I will tell you with Thousand Year Door, there's an entire chapter that is literally a wrestling
okay.
chapter.
I'm cool with that.
And it's
So
and and like the villain of that arc is straight up Vince McMahon.
nice. Well, and then timing wise, that made sense because that game came out, was it 2002 or 2003?
2002, 2003, something like that, yeah.
That's right when they were at like WWF was at the height of its popularity. They were getting like 10 million viewers, and they were big in Japan and all. Like that
Yeah.
era makes sense that they would have been doing that.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think they got a date though. I think it's just sometime next
Yeah,
year.
that's next year. That'll be summer next year.
Yeah, so my guess is we'll get a direct in January, February, March, somewhere in there, and that's when they'll have the date for it.
Yeah.
Um, Mario versus Donkey Kong remake. That's the Game Boy Advance game. That
Yes.
is that the was it called Mario Minis or something? March of the Minis.
No, this is the original Mario versus Donkey Kong, which is a sequel to the Donkey Kong game on the Game Boy.
Oh, right, because that I was thinking of. Wasn't there a
Because
was the
then they spun the Mario vs. Donkey Kong games off into the minis games.
Okay, and this is the one that I think is closest to that Super Nintendo game we didn't get called, was it Mario and Wario? Where you're
Yes.
like,
Yes, because the
like,
same team that did the Mario Wario game also did the Donkey Kong game for the Game
because
Boy.
that I think that was the last outside of like that one Fire Emblem game that was like a mail order game for Nintendo. I think that was the last first party game on the
SNES.
SNES. It was like 97
Yeah.
or 98.
Yeah, something
Where,
like that.
I think it came out at the same time as like Wrecking Crew 98 or whatever it was. So like we're talking way like we're talking like 9 years into the life cycle of a system. So like I recognize the art. That looks kind of neat. To me, this is filling the Toad Treasure Tracker space because they haven't had
Yeah.
a more simplistic puzzle game in a while.
Yep.
I would love if they like we had like the Dr. Mario stuff back in the day on the Wii, the I guess updated version. It'd be neat if they did like Yoshi's Cookie and Yoshi as like a bundled game. Like even if it was like why not release those as part of like the Nintendo expansion pass, like in HD versions of a couple puzzle games. But we got we got F-Zero, and then some people were like, "Yay!" and then immediately they were like, "Oh, it's not what I want." Well, you get what you get when it comes to Nintendo. Be glad that you're getting F-Zero 99, which does look fun, but I can see why people were upset that we're not getting a brand new F-Zero. The only way we're getting a new F-Zero, brand new one, or even a port like of the I don't
I
I don't think we would get the GameCube version. I think if we get a port, it's going to be of the arcade version on the next
that
generation system.
that or you just like fuse Mario Kart with F-Zero.
Yeah, because I think it was Sega that made the arcade version and then it was ported to the GameCube. I believe that one used Sega's online stuff, so you could actually network and like it already had built-in netcode like for racing online.
Right.
So that would be the one that makes the most sense to port. It was also slightly better graphics than what was on the GameCube because it was running on I think it was Naomi 2 hardware. It was basically stuff that was going to be on. It could have run on the Dreamcast too. So cool. I mean, it's cool that they're announcing that and they have that out. It looks kind of fun. Princess Peach, that teaser game that we saw a teaser trailer for in the summer, got a release date, and to me it looks like Kirby. To other people, it looks like what was the the game that I forget what to me it looks like the Kirby team is making that, but it's not HAL, I don't think.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's HAL. But it's the they saw how many people really enjoyed all the outfits that Peach had in Odyssey and said, why not just make a game out of that?
Yeah,
and oh my gosh, the cosplay that's going to come out of this game is ridiculous.
Insane. I mean, it's basically it's a job system from Final Fantasy. Only your Princess Peach playing different roles and different. I like that it's basically like a WarioWare game where there's just instead of mini games, each level has a completely different playstyle. One level is going to be like Detective Pikachu. One level is going to be a kung fu action game. One level is going to be like WarioWare meets Cooking Mama. Like it looks interesting. We'll see how it goes. That's coming out in March. Tomb Raider 1, 2, and 3 remasters announced. I laughed so hard when I saw that trailer because the remastered graphics look worse than the original.
Well,
they're
they just spruced it up a little bit. They spruced it up a little bit. Not a lot.
They made her character model look like it did in the box art.
Yeah.
And then the backgrounds are arguably better or worse. The lighting is better, but the textures sometimes look worse, and I don't understand how.
Yeah, kinda. But you can switch back and forth between the graphics
on the fly, and that'll be kind of fun for people that never played it. Be prepared for some of the worst controls in gaming history. So
yes. Yes,
they're
indeed.
not fixing that. It's tank controls, and not the kind of like if you thought tank controls in Resident Evil were hard, that added to the experience because that was survival ambiance. Try escaping a tiger in
or a dinosaur.
Yeah, or anything. Try platforming with tank controls. That's what Tomb Raider was until was it Anniversary or Legends? Until the 4th or 5th game, that's what the controls were.
Yeah.
Luigi's Mansion, was it Dark? Whatever is getting it.
Well, yeah, Luigi's Mansion 2, which was stuck on the 3DS. We already knew that was getting made, and we just got more info on that. It's got a multiplayer mode like 3 does. 3. And
the fact that they changed the name, they've officially changed it from was it
Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon to Luigi's Mansion 2.
Yeah, so just I guess in the sake of I guess it's for the sake of just ease of nomenclature for new people, because if you're going out to buy something, your look is Luigi's Mansion 1, Luigi's Mansion 3, and you're where's Luigi's Mansion 2? There are going to be people that do that. So
yeah,
but I'm surprised it's not Luigi's Mansion 2 and then having the subtitle, but no, it's just Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. Cool. Yep. We're going to probably see more ports like that coming in the future. Quick and easy. Well, not easy, but quick and easy comparatively for them. That they can still keep the Switch alive, and it will have no trouble running at 60.
Yeah.
Splatoon 3. I didn't
gets
care
a roguelite mode.
Yeah. It's going to be fun for some streamers. That's the obligatory huge in Japan trailer. A little more Prince of Persia actually looks pretty cool. I mean,
we also got the date for that. In the direct.
Yeah, because it was originally supposed to be the fall, and then they gave it an official January 18th date. It's got a little breadth in there before some of the bigger games are coming, so that's good. And that is kind of where I want Ubisoft to be in this AA vein. They have trouble with AAA titles. Outside of Splinter Cell, they've had trouble, and they haven't had a Splinter Cell game in 6 years. So, and they have one they're working on, right? And it's I think
technically,
I think
we don't know what the heck's happening with that.
Yeah, Toronto is supposed to be working on it. We'll see. Mario RPG got a trailer showing off
new gameplay stuff,
explaining that they've added boss rush modes, or not boss rush, but extra. When you beat the game, you can go back and beat bosses for more stuff. They explained some of the changes they made, like you can switch the music from the original to an orchestral remix on the fly. They've made it so that when you time your attacks to beat up enemies perfectly, it spreads splash damage to other enemies. You have a limit break meter that when you build it up, you can do triple attacks, I guess Chrono Trigger.
And also, they showed it in the gameplay, but the secret boss is still in the game. Don't worry.
They very briefly just showed like him standing in front of Culex door. So everybody's flipping out. They're like, "What's Culex going to look like?" More importantly, are they going to have a remixed version of Umatsu's music from Final Fantasy II
Oh God, just
or Final Fantasy IV? Right? Like, is it
Yeah.
or is there going to be a joke? Is Culex not going to be there? Is it going to be a different enemy? It's got to be Culex, or a complete joke would be funny if it was just like graphics redacted and it's like something else completely.
Yeah.
Like
Champ.
like could you imagine if you open the door and you're expecting to fight Culex shows up, and then there's like just a big slice and Culex gets destroyed, and then Sephiroth floats down from the ceiling.
That would be awesome.
It would just completely blow everybody's minds to be like, what? Like Culex is there and he's like, I'm beyond time, blah 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 blah, and then he just dies. And then like it plays a sequence where like your character party just looks at each other like, what's going on? And then like One Wing Angel starts playing, and it's just like a chibi form of Sephiroth floats down, and you're like, what? Although that would like break the internet for streams for like one day.
Oh yeah, that would just break people.
Trombone Champ is coming, which looks hilariously worse than even on the computer, and it's one of the few games that uses the infrared camera for controls.
Yeah,
which is going to be hilarious.
I mean that's stream bait.
And to the bane of every parent and babysitter out there, they're basically crying because all they're going to hear is like 4 kids screaming and howling with laughter and horrible trumpet music all day.
Yeah.
And then
Dave the Diver is coming to Switch out. This is the first console release for the game since the PC launch.
I guess the final wave of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe stuff. I'm assuming they can't do more. Like they just
no. This is technically the final wave of the pass. We're getting way more characters than we thought we were going to get because there's only 2 empty slots, but we're getting 4 characters.
This is going to be it, and then we're going to get. When the next console comes, if we don't get Mario Kart 9 right away announced, it's going to be Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Complete or something, or Deluxe Plus, and it will just be a cart that plays at 4K with everything. They're going to do that.
Yeah.
If they can't get Mario Kart 9 ready for launch.
I mean, Mario Kart 9. We know Mario Kart 9 is being developed by the Mario Kart team.
Yes.
All the booster course stuff has been done by the World Tour team, which that game's going away.
Yeah. So, Detective Pikachu new cinematic trailer. I don't know if, it looks good. It's out as of this recording this week.
Yep. I mean, reviews are mixed, as I would expect, but
and I know Birdman wants to review. I'm not sure if we are though. It all depends on if Nintendo sends. Because generally, how it works is with Nintendo, you either get your review codes a few weeks early, or you get a day of release. Basically, one of two.
But also, it's like this is the second game developed by Creatures Inc. And Creatures Inc. is the one development team in the Pokemon Company that actually does good work.
Yeah. Or until things are farmed out to Namco Bandai for Snap.
Yeah.
But yes, Amiibo updates. They showed off some Amiibos coming out, which immediately sold out. Obviously.
Sora's finally going to be coming.
Yes.
So that will complete the Smash collection.
Yeah. And they did confirm that it's not the end of Amiibos. People thought that might be like the last Amiibo. They're continuing onward with stuff in the future.
I mean, I would think so if the Switch 2 does have backwards compatibility.
That'll be the big thing. If we see it having compatibility, then we get at least one more generation of it. Um, Another code recollection was announced. That's a 2-pack of the was it 3DS title and
It was a Wii title.
Wii title and two Wii and DS title, right?
Yes.
Um,
And it's the first time we're getting the Wii in the West. The Wii title in the West.
with a full English dub for that.
Yeah.
So cool. Saga Emerald Beyond looks terrible.
It looks so bad.
It's clearly another mobile game that they're porting over. I'm sorry, Square. Like, treat that franchise with some respect. It's I'm not even going to bother talking more about that. But then we've got like what looks to be a spiritual successor to like Ogre Battle with Unicorn Overlord. Didn't they announce
Done by Vanillaware, aka the
Jiggly
prettiest games you have ever seen in your life.
The giant Jiggly Boob company is working with Atlas to make an Atlas slash Camelot style
Tactics RPG.
Tactics RPG slash RTS. Looks freaking cool. Big cool overworld. Almost looks like a diorama pop up, but it's like
as you would expect from Vanillaware. Like that's Vanillaware's aesthetic.
It looks like what if Vanillaware took over the Ogre Battle slash Tactics Ogre series.
Also, Vanillaware showed off their new logo, which is literally looks like a crest.
Yeah, and they made some like claims or something. It's like this is the future of tactical games or something. Something when they were showing it, it's like cool,
very superlative.
Yeah, it looks pretty baller, and that's like I don't think it had a date attached to it except that it's next year.
No, March 8th.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yes. Uden Chronicle got an April 23rd release date, which now we can expect. We can expect Konami to be petty and probably try to release Suikoden 1 and 2 HD remasters like a day before or a week before.
Yeah.
to try to steal sales, which isn't going to help because Uden Chronicle is a day one Game Pass game.
Yep.
So it doesn't matter. They got their money. WarioWare Move It had a trailer. It's getting a November release. And that's pretty much it.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was a lot shown there. A lot of cool, interesting things. It was weird that, like, for me personally, PlayStation with that one trailer for Final Fantasy was more exciting than everything combined in Nintendo. But that's just for me. That was one of the best Nintendo Directs. And I've seen Nintendo Directs where I've been personally more excited. Like, they had the couple that were just basically JRPG crazy heavy. I think that was the March one of this past year.
Yep. And everyone else poo-pooed it. And
I was like,
the two of us were just kind of like, yeah, sure.
Because there's a big variety of games. And now, a lot of that stuff hasn't come out. The Baten Kaidos one, isn't that supposed to be out now or really soon? Like, I've seen no advertisements from Namco on that, even though it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it got, as cool as it looked, it got a lot of poo-pooed remarks because they pulled out the English dub. They just stripped it out completely. And I was like, why? Okay, sure. I mean, not that it had a good dub, but like, why would you pull it out? If every other game out there is like, you see that, and then you see like Square Enix's approach with Star Ocean Second Story R, where you get the dub from 1998, the English dub, which was hilariously not great, but still fun. It's perfect for the time. You get the English dub, you get the original Japanese dub. They re-recorded a new Japanese dub with new actors, and not only can you like pick anyone you want there, you can pick each language voice for each character on the fly and change it. So you can have one character that speaks in the original Japanese voice that you like with subtitles, and then your other character will be talking to them in English without subtitles, and then you can have another character talking in the new voice if you didn't like a previous voice with subtitles, and you can do that all on the fly. It's like, Namco, what are you doing? You already own that dub. You don't have to pay the actors again, like as much as they should be. You know what I mean? Like, once that, especially the old contracts like that, once you paid for it, you owned it. so they could
Yeah.
use it whenever they want. And the fact that they're not using it is almost like a disservice. If you've already owned it, you should use it because that's still advertising for those actors, which means they're going to pull the actors' names out of the credits.
Yeah.
So, kind of shitty that way. But yes, and as of this recording, I guess we'll briefly go over some of the bigger releases that are coming. I guess the like this first one coming is Detective Pikachu, which is out as of when this is released. It'll already have been out.
Yep.
Detective Pikachu. We got NHL, which is one of the yearly titles. Sure. Forza. As of this recording, Birdman is working on a review of that. So Forza Motorsport.
AC Mirage.
Yeah.
Is this week as well, along
Yeah.
with Wargroove 2, which was just
Yeah.
one of those, like, I forget what time that it might have been Gamescom that they announced it, or something like that. They
Something
just
like
announced,
that.
hey, it's coming.
And Valhalla, or not Valhalla, sorry, Mirage. Birdman and I are both working on it. We're playing slightly different styles. I'm going to do a straight story playthrough, see how much can I do without having to do side quests to get through the story, and he's going to do his thing where he goes through everything. Sort of the reverse of how we play other RPGs and stuff. Like, usually when we play RPGs, I'm the guy that does everything, and then he'll do mostly. Like, if it's like a Japanese style game, he does like the straight playthrough. But it's going to be something similar to how we did our Starfield playthrough, where I'm mainlining the story, and then he's going to meander and go around. Which
Also, the Front Mission 2 remake is finally coming out.
That's true. The week of the
The
8th,
next week is
Company Heroes. House doesn't count. It's a lot of ports. Lords of the
Yeah.
Fallen, and
Yep.
let me see here. Lords of the Fallen, and then there's a Transformers kids game. Maybe we'll review it. I don't know.
Cosmic Shake gets a
Yeah.
next gen update.
Yeah, the 17th has Sonic Superstars. That could be good or bad.
Wizard with a Gun is coming out.
Yes. We're skipping over ports. Hellboy Web of Weird looked cool, but the fact that we've seen nothing else about it concerns me a little bit. That's on the 18th. Gargoyles Remastered on the 19th, as well as Hot Wheels Unleashed 2. So, cool.
And Jackbox.
And Jackbox. That's going to be probably bigger. We always cover
The
Jackbox games.
the crop of games for Jackbox this year looked pretty good.
Yeah, and I think Birdman was actually in on like he got to see some stuff ahead of time for that, so I don't think he can talk about it till later, but I know that he was allowed to say that he was in a press screening for things for that. So
Yeah.
and usually companies don't do that unless they have faith in the game, so we can leave it at that. Spider-Man 2 little game coming out on October 20th.
Along with Mario Wonder.
Yeah, just a couple small games. Yeah. And then the 24th, we have Just Dance 2024.
As well as the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection.
Yes. Those are, and we're skipping some. We're talking about ones that might be the more interesting to people or aren't ports. Like, while the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection is a port, it's something that doesn't happen very often from Konami anymore. So there's that. The 26th has Ghost Runner 2. First one was pretty fun. Hard as hell, but fun. Then the big release at the end of the month there is Alan Wake 2.
Well, Alan Wake 2 is actually... this is incorrect. Alan Wake 2 got moved up a week. So it'll be out the 16th, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. I couldn't remember if it was a week before or a week after, but yeah, it's a week before. Just hasn't been updated here. Then beyond that, and we're skipping things that are like Game Pass stuff because you'll see it pop up elsewhere. In November, so like October's pretty. It's pretty Broketober with some of the bigger releases. Not as crazy as things have been in the past, but there were a bunch of games that were supposed to come out in October that got pushed to next year on purpose.
Right.
So for November, RoboCop is there. That was supposed to be, I think, like July and then eventually October, and then it got pushed again. Uh,
Star Ocean.
Star Ocean, it's going to have its niche, and people are going to like it. Same with Talos Principle comes out. Talos Principle 2 same day.
Yep.
After that, we've got
All Star Brawl 2.
All Star Brawl 2 and WarioWare Move It on the 3rd. On the 9th, the 9th has Like a Dragon Gaiden, the Manor Race's name. So again, that's I think Game Pass. So if you have
As well as Arc
it's
System
PC.
Works. As well as Arc System Works ports of some of the Double Dragon games.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, so that should be fun too. Call of Duty is on the 10th. That's obviously the big one there. You're not going to have anything really want to release around there.
Nope.
The
Hogwarts Legacy is finally coming to Switch.
and yes, and Turok 3.
Oh boy.
Beyond that, again, not much is going to want to come even a week after.
Yeah.
I guess the week after, Persona 5 Tactica is coming. Again, Game Pass if you got it.
Yep.
Same day as Mario RPG. So if you have Game Pass, you don't have to buy Persona because you can just go and buy Mario RPG.
I mean, to be fair, I'm paying for both because I want a physical copy of Tactica on Switch.
Yeah,
Because it's all going to be on the cart.
exactly. You don't expect to have to download much for that game, unless there's like a patch.
I'll have to download the DLC. That's about it.
Yeah, exactly. On the that's it. That's basically it for that month. And then
Grand Blue Fantasy versus the redo.
Oh, yes, right. The Rise of the technically second game, but it's basically like, hey, forget the first version existed.
Forget the first version existed because we have rollback now.
Yeah, like playing the single player game, it was fine when I got it for review like originally, but I'm not a big online player, and that was the biggest complaint people had.
The netcode in Fantasy Versus was atrocious, like so fucking bad.
Yeah. So for December, there's the obligatory Dragon Quest game, so Dragon Quest Monsters Dark Prince, which I think we talked before air is not getting a physical release in the West.
Yeah.
It's kind of surprising, but at the same time not. Avatar on the 7th is probably the biggest game in December.
Yeah. Also, for those that I don't know why you would want to play it on Switch, but the Batman Arkham trilogy.
Yeah, that got moved there. I mean, sure. I don't know.
I don't think that game's gonna run well.
No, but like it's clear that like right now there's one big game in December, and that's the Avatar game.
Yeah.
They clearly like it'll be ready before that, but they don't want to put it anywhere near Call of Duty in November.
No.
So
Ubisoft can't afford to have anything lose.
Yeah, so Broketober is still Broketober, but unlike the last few years where Broketober was like 7 games, it's like, yeah, there's generally 2 or like the 2 that everybody wants is going to be Mario and Spider-Man. Those like, and the fact that they're releasing on the same day, I don't think it matters. They're not going to cut into each other's sales. In fact, they're probably just people are going to pick up both the same day.
Yeah.
And the difference is going to be flipping a coin as to which you play first.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, like as I mentioned, like
there's
we're not going.
There's a couple of indies that we have. One that I adamantly asked for a review code for that is coming out the week before RPG and Persona, and I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah. So I mean, if it happens, things happen. Things might move. You never know.
Also, same day as Like a Dragon Gaiden 2, which is like, oh dear lord,
but well,
too many games.
Because this isn't really a look into the future, except that I'm going to mention that the few games that have been announced for the first 3 months of 2024, some were already pre-planned, and some were moved there, and some were moved there before some of the bigger games had their release dates announced. I wouldn't be surprised if some other things move because for those of you that like are RPG fans, or even like it's going to be rough because like January, Alone in the Dark got moved, and that's, I mean, that's a survival game, but it's not an RPG, but it's
And
like
it looks decent. It looks decent enough where
yeah,
it's like it'll
January
still sell well.
January that's January 16th. It's got its own market. The 18th is Prince of Persia: Lost Crown. Those again, they're not going to cut into each other's sales. It's slightly different markets people want. Another Code Recollection is the day later, on the 19th. And then on the 25th is the Apollo Justice Ace Attorney trilogy. Sheeran the Wanderer. So for people that like those roguelike games, cool. Then the 26th, the next day, is Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth and Tekken 8 on the same day. Then
That's going to be a fun.
Then a week later, on the 1st, is Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, the RPG, the same day as the Legend of Legacy HD Remastered RPG. The next day, my birthday, February 2nd, is Persona 3 Reloaded, the remake of Persona 3, and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. That's 2 days. There's 4 big games coming. On the
Suicide.
8th,
I will not be surprised if Suicide Squad moves again.
yeah, I kind of think they have to. Like, even though it's different, like it's still technically an RPG coming
But
out.
like when it, but also when are they gonna move it? They're not gonna move it till the end of February because that's
no
Final Fantasy.
It would be the end of March. It would be the end of March so that it meets fiscal year, because they'll probably have to. But like, because like there are literally 3 RPGs released within 24 hours of that game. Helldiver, I know, right? And different style. Like you got traditional JRPG with Legend of Legacy, and then you've got Grand Blue, which is like the Tales action game, and then you've got Persona, which is like the hip game right now. The franchise is like you're screwed. The 8th is Helldivers 2, which isn't going to be affected by any of those games, except actually maybe Suicide Squad. The 13th,
because that's literally the same market.
Yeah, the 13th is Banishers, Ghost of New Eden. That's the Don't Nod game that was supposed to be a Broketober game, and they were smartly moving it away from everything there.
Yeah, that game just like that is the prettiest looking focus game I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Don't Nod clearly used that investment money that they received to make that their trip. Like this is like Vampire was out and all those AA games, and they've done like good like walking simulator puzzle games. That's the first true AAA looking game that Don't Nod's ever produced.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's not too jank, and they have a little extra time to work on bugs and that. Tomb Raider 1 to 3 is the next day. Gunvolt is the day after that. Mario versus Donkey Kong is the day after that on the 16th. Then as far as bigger releases, Final Fantasy Rebirth on the 29th. Nothing is going to want to come out the week before or the week after. Which
avoid it like the plague.
And the 8th of March is Unicorn Overlord, which is an RPG, but it will be a different market than Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Sega and Atlas are not worried about that.
No.
Also, Vanillaware games Vanillaware games are very much word of mouth games.
Yeah, if it sells 1 million copies in the first month, it'll be a big success for them.
Yeah.
And then on the 22nd is Princess Peach. So, like, Final Fantasy is going to be the biggest Q1 2024 game.
Yep.
By far. There's, like, nobody will want to put anything out, like, announcing anything for, like, the 22nd. They won't want to have anything come out on the 22nd, and they won't want to have anything come out on, like, the 7th of... Like, the only thing coming out on the 7th of March that week, outside of Unicorn Overlord, is the fitness boxing game with Hatsune Miku. Which, again, not the same market. So, steer clear is basically like that. But think about this. I generally review more of the RPGs, right? Like a Dragon, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, Legend of Legacy, Persona 3, Suicide Squad, all within 7.5 days.
Yeah, stuff's gonna move.
I
If anything, again, as we said, if any game is going to move, Suicide Squad's gonna move.
yeah,
They're going to move first.
Legend of Legacy. Like, if we get a review copy, we probably will. But if we do, that's gonna be that's like, as far as priorities, it has to be the lowest priority, because like a Dragon will come out. I'll have 7 days to beat it, which I can do. But I won't be able to do that game. It's like 200 hours if you want to do everything. I'll be able to do the main story. But then again, that's if I get it early enough. If I get it day of release, then what happens if I get Grand Blue Fantasy the same day? These aren't like in the summertime where I had like mini RPGs to work on. These are big RPGs. And then Persona, So, I mean, it's going to be fun. But yes, without getting into the minutia, that's like, it's become like RPG Armageddon all in like January, February.
I mean, it to be fair, it was RPG Armageddon for you with the smaller RPGs all over the summer.
Yeah. Well, and the difference is there, like, I had 2 games. I had like 7 RPGs, and then 2 of them were 100-hour games if you wanted to do everything. And it's like, oh my God, I got them at the same time? Like, but yes. So I think that's pretty much going to do it. Like, final thoughts.
Alex will be close to death by the time.
Yes, like
March rolls around.
I have to beat all of the games, and then I have to I have to beat all the games around my birthday, and then like I have to take a week to recuperate before Final Fantasy comes out, and then you guys won't hear from me until like mid-March. But yeah, like I think that's pretty much gonna do it. Like, we sort of covered a bit of everything. There's some cool stuff coming. It wasn't as much as we hoped for. We wanted to have more coverage and stuff to discuss in like a roundtable on, but there wasn't a whole lot outside of all these announcements from Nintendo happening and some sporadic things. There's probably going to be more in the fall. As far as prototypes go, Birdman and I are probably going to do an extended review discussion on Assassin's Creed Mirage. We are going to do something probably for Black Friday, and then of course our gift guide, and
then Game Awards,
and we'll do Game Awards coverage, and that'll be probably it. And we're hopefully going to have more prototype stuff coming in the fall, or sorry, in the new year. It's all going to depend on how much time we have to play some of these larger games. Probably do one on Call of Duty as well, like we do in the last few years.
Yeah,
and that's I guess that's pretty much it. So I guess thanks for sticking around and hanging out with us while we just sort of rambled on and discussed what was going on. It was sort of impromptu. Ken and I were like, it's time to record, talk about something, god damn it. But yeah, so I guess as Birdman would say, be excellent to each other. Come back soon. Listen to us. We don't have a schedule for the prototype. The prototype comes when the prototype comes.
At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
Thanks for listening to this episode of This Week in Geek. Hungry for more? Check out our website at thisweekingeek.net. You can subscribe to the podcast, browse our Twitter and Instagram, and leave your thoughts on today's topics. If you'd like to give us some feedback, send us an email at feedback@thisweekingeek.net. Tune in next time, and remember,
lower your shields and surrender your listenership.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Thank you for your cooperation. Good night.